Mohsen, welcome.
Welcome, my dear. How are you?
On Monday, it's Monday. It's all good because we're actually helping a friend who really needs help. And, it's good to share the conditions. And right now, a lot of people have been misguided from the outside and their insides hurt and they don't know why. And I think that's part of why we're going to communicate today about how to fortify ourselves and, how we get those little rips and tears and things in our energy fields.
That is correct.
Now, well, yeah. It really was a good hit.
You're in a good mood.
Well, this is the last square from Pluto and I think it's Uranus. I'd have to check my ephemeris. But yeah, it's one of the major worldwide, are we going to fall for the BS or are we going to wake up kind of moments? And since I've been there a few times, I think I'm right where it's supposed to be. And that's good. We all should have joy. Even through the dark times, there should be joy somewhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how was your week?
My week was okay. I had I had a show on Friday night.
Neat.
Which started at 9 o'clock and continued till 11 on Consciousness Consumer Network, CCN.
Cool.
And I was on a panel with a bunch of other people and talking about basically the marriage of spiritual science, consciousness, and technology.
Way cool.
Yeah, we talked about some stuff. I mean, there were 8 people on the show.
Mm-hmm.
There were 4 basically guests and 4 other people. Well, there's the guest. There's always the other person, Cami, who's always there,
and the host, right?
Yeah, the host herself and Indy, and then there were 2 other people that were kind of guests in there. They were not. They didn't really participate much, but and then we had Dr. Jeremy Ayres, we had Voss, we had a bunch of people. Anyway, we talked about plasma physics and
neat.
And
so they're being able to bring out evidence of it occurring now. Is that what you were communicating on the show?
Yeah, actually, cool. You might want to mark your calendar if you have time and listen to. I'm going to be the guest on Dr. Jeremy Ayres' show. He has a show on CCN every Tuesday, and he requested, and I think I've kind of committed for 31st. It'll be 3 o'clock Atlantic Standard Time. Because he's from Barbados. And he wants me to talk about the relationship between macrocosmos and microcosmos, which we talked a little bit on our show. And, specifically how that affects, our, the interface between basically the ethereal and physicality.
Okay, can I bring up another set of words that explains or almost says the same thing?
Sure.
Tonal and inaugural. That's how the South Americans, by what I've read through Carlos Castaneda. And that's how I see it as well. So there's many different ways of getting the words out. I think that's part of the fun, too, is connecting with others or giving them similarities enough to where they want to hear more kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. These guys are actually interesting because cool. This Dr. Ayres is actually osteopathic doctor and also a chiropractor, and he's into what you might consider, well, actually I don't, but it's referred to as non-conventional medicine, because he gets into consciousness and he gets into the true nature of our basically heart and chakras and this and that. I'm just getting to know him, and but he's interesting, and his views on consciousness very much parallel to some of the things that I have been saying. And also the other gentleman, Voss, who's a poet, a sculptor, and a painter. A very talented guy. He's also into consciousness, and he's basically his background is also his interest is basically in consciousness also.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were a couple of other people. There was an inventor from Peru. There was another guy who's a plasma physicist, and has worked with Dr. Kesh, who I'm sure you know about him. He's a plasma physicist.
No, I don't carry people's names or labels. I don't label much of anything in my life. So I probably have, but I just...
Yeah. Well, he's also an interesting person. Someday you may see. He's very difficult to reach or whatever. He's very internationally famous and
so cool.
But it would be nice to get some of these people on your show. I'll see. Maybe if you're interested.
Oh, it's working out. I got you, and now look where you're going. Isn't that cool? And just like, I've had Alfred Weber, I've had one of the bigger bankers, Karen Hughes, but she's hiding now. And, it's just, I'm not worried about who's on or not. People love the show what it is. I have no definites. Well, okay, you're a Monday definite. But then again, if you can't show, it's okay, because I can handle it,
Yeah.
I've had many hours without guests on, trust me.
Oh, I know you can carry yourself. There's no question about it. But it is nice to just kind of, I think I told you this. I'm getting a show actually on conscious, consumer network, CCN. And they're giving me my own show, but it's a video show. And I like to bring different people maybe later. There's so much stuff I have to discuss with people yet, but we're doing it through your show anyway. And but it's good to hear somebody. It's refreshing to see how other people think and how much frequencies have expanded around the planet. And there's only one truth. That's the truth of God. So,
but it's our own self-truth, and I don't even want to label it God, because people have put so much energy outside themselves to say that's it. I say everything is it. Huh. And there's no name to it. It is. It's
we're all connected. We're part of the same energies. It's what free will has done to us, and to some, most of us, and created separatism, and this feeling of survivalism.
Right.
Has created all this, competition, jealousy, ego, all this stuff, which it's being transmuted. It's disappearing. People are finding themselves again. In fact, there's a couple of papers we refer to for the listeners to check out, and I'm sure they already have. And I start out by one of them, talking about basically reemergence of our crystallinity,
Right.
And we talk about, the time of, very briefly, I didn't want to get into history, but briefly from the time of Atlantis that we started, and we chose to come to this duality, we chose to come to this to experience these frequencies, the polarity system and all that stuff. And now what is actually creating problem for us? This very polarity is creating, if we're not careful, it creates what we refer to as reverse biopolarity, which creates all this, differential pressures across your auras, and you get microcracking, fissures, and auric bleeding. So that's part of our legacy, honey. You see,
but don't we even actually also feed it, even though it might be like a legacy? Well, okay, I'll give that a 50-50 here, because it's about how our creation is and how much we are into the pity party or the sorry or the I'm wrong or, the disgruntled against themselves just actually causes self-bleeding.
Right, that's quite correct. That's one very major consideration that we have to give to the subject of auric bleeding and maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, if you go ahead and you realize that I did write 2 papers this week. One is auric bleeding and maintenance, and the other one's the reemergence of crystallinity. And I'm writing 2 more this week. So by next week we'll have basically the subject of auric bleeding. We've got a good introduction to it, at least. You know what I'm saying? But basically, one of the things that you said quite clearly is just this negative thinking. It's a main cause of this creating this bipolarity reversal, and also communication with people and how you conduct yourself and how, anger and all that stuff. But those things, maybe we can, refer, what is it? Leave that to later and talk about that. But there are a lot of things that are happening on this planet as a, we are basically God beings, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We are ethereal. We are not just physical.
Right.
We interface with physical. And unfortunately, we have paid so much attention to this physical part of ourselves that we've forgotten who we are. But as you mentioned last time, if you take, say, a Kirlian camera and take a picture of yourself and your surroundings, you will see your aura.
Oh, yeah.
All the different colors, and it is possible to actually distinguish between these layers. So here we are. If we want to forget about our ethereal stuff, just down to physicality and using a camera and this standard light and all this stuff, we can actually see that we have layers and layers, and we are not just the physical body. The physical body is encompassed by 6 other layers.
Right. I want to give a little bit of a system that worked for me. Is I would just look through to a bunch of trees and look past them in my mind and then turn my head sideways, and I could see the auras building. It takes time to unfocus, because when you are really looking for an aura, you don't want to focus, because it takes the whole peripheral view, which is our auras, away. So people need to relax, turn a little crooked, see past something. Don't be looking at anything at all, actually, but keep your eyes open and your auras will show up. I see mine. I stepped in dog dew one day, and here I'm cleaning out the dog dew, and my shoe had so many little crevices in it, I had to get toothpicks to clean the crap out of my shoe. And my hand turned green aura. And I'm just laughing, because, that's just what it was. My hand was supposed to clean that crap today. So I had to make light of it, because there was just so much in the doing of it for some reason. Time, I don't know what it was, but it was funny, and I'm just laughing and shaking my head.
Yeah, and we have actually talked about this before, that when you're so much into your physicality, and using your brain in this physical, or what I call outer or physical consciousness, you just forget about all these higher energetic layers that you have that are within grasp very, very easily. But what you need to do, you need to dismiss the brain, as you said, and you have to also have a good sense of humor and be happy and just delve into your subconsciousness. And then you start, you just like a snake, as we said, you can grow and grow in your skins, and you can get into your etheric and your emotional and thought and all those bodies, which are part of your auric layers. I mean, you've got this orbit around you, okay? They're at least 3 feet above you and about
Exactly.
15 feet around you. That's you.
That's huge.
That's huge, and that's you. Okay, and of course that's the beginning.
I
That's the
know,
beginning.
right?
The end of that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
but
know,
we don't need to go that elaborate at this moment.
yeah, but okay.
It's too fractaled, man.
Anyway, so now let's talk about some of these factors that we have to really consider very specifically on, factors that cause auric bleeding and see what we can do to alleviate that and maintain that. And let's talk about some of this, shall we? Kind of focus on this. We've talked.
What? Am I losing you?
Think.
Where'd you go?
Okay, no, I got it. This chord came loose.
Yeah, we have those moments.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's all good.
So anyway, I want to refer the listeners, if they have not, I'm sure they have, but to these 2 new articles that we want to discuss today. And then they can go back to the basically go into human physiology and energetic.wordpress.com. There should be about 6, 7, I don't know, papers in there. They're all on the subject of aura, chakra, human energetic, bioplasmic system, all this kind of stuff. They're all pertinent. But in particular, and we've discussed a lot of that stuff, but in particular, let's concentrate on the specific factors that affect our, auric bleeding, cause auric bleeding and all that. And, we live in a 20th century, okay? We are really sort of a fragile, high and etheric, energetic system that we found ourselves in this physicality, in this dense vibration, and we've created certain things synthetically ourselves. For example, this electricity, the high transmission, electric lines, the alternating currents.
I know, right?
They're very bad for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to keep away from the transmission lines as much as you can. The alternating currents going positive, negative, they are the main cause of this biopolarity reversal. Okay, which gives rise to basically these differential pressures and microcracking and auric bleeding. So that's one of the things that you want to, do away with. The other things are anything that is related to alternating currents. Computers, television, electronic equipment, even cell phones,
Right.
And most importantly, the microwave ovens. You want to get rid of all that. You don't want to, and we're going to discuss about that a little bit. But I just want to pinpoint some of these things, and we're going to get back to these. The other thing is, of course, again, it's as a result of our, paradigm of this reality on 3D Earth, this Luciferian planet, is chemtrails. And these chemtrails are horrible. They're terrible. The chemtrails, they have all kinds of metallic nanoparticles that are dissipated, and they come down to Earth and they dissipate your body, and they stop your pineal gland from secreting and creating DMT, which is the molecule of consciousness, or your soul consciousness.
Right.
That's and of course they interfere with your what is it? What do you call it? You get weaker and weaker.
All I can think of is etheric body.
No, I'm talking about your physical body. You know what I'm saying? You're prone to disease.
Is that your mic acting like that? Better not be my brand new one.
Did you hear something? I think I might have touched something. Yeah.
I'm stuck. Okay, maybe.
Anyway, so chemtrails are bad, and then of
Right.
course chemtrails create also auric bleeding, severe auric bleeding. But what can you do? I mean, they're out there. I go out there, sit in the yard, and by the canal. I told you I live on canals, and you know what I'm saying. And you relax, and 2 minutes later, you see all these streaks, this lattice of basically chemtrails. You look up there and you see it's like a lattice going 90 degrees here and there.
We're stronger than that, though.
Yeah.
Are you moving around?
No, I'm not doing anything. This wasn't not me.
Huh.
No, absolutely not. This one was not. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That seems like some kind of a microphone thing, but...
Yeah, I know, and I just replaced one, so I'm in no mood to go and have another one.
Yeah, this noise is not me. This noise is... I'm still completely...
Huh. Okay, well, hey, we talk energies, guess what? They don't want us talking about them.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get too much into, as I said, the dark side of the, energies and what's going on the planet, but leave that alone. I mean, we should really talk about HARP and chemtrails in detail in some other time. Just, probably the whole discussion into that. But I just wanted to mention that this chemtrails, apart from, your autoimmune system, destroying that, and also, making you literally more, quote unquote, stupid, because DMT is the molecule of consciousness.
Right.
And you just become very lethargic in that fashion, and thought forms and all that. And but the other thing that it can do, to your etheric body, is that you can get auric bleeding, and you have all those symptoms that are usually seen with auric bleeding, such as the tiredness and the headaches and the joint and body aches and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Very common right now. And it's sad to see that 18-year-old kids, college kids, they have that, and they have immune deficiency, and the kids are dying from trivial stuff that we never had these problems 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Right. Well, it's accumulated because look at where it's come from. When I got inoculated when I was a kid, I used to pass out because my body didn't want it.
Right.
And so it's weird. I was very sad I had to give my children those shots.
Mm-hmm.
Just due to stupidity. But, I think we have enough building blocks still left within our system to have all this get completed in a better way.
Yeah, but if they bombard your autoimmune system with all these, barium oxide and aluminum oxide.
But they're just vibrations. Don't you think we can avert those vibrations by making ours stronger?
Yes. Let me put it. I believe 100% on, mind over matter.
Right.
Because I believe that, again, and this is obvious. We've talked about this. The majority of you is ethereal, not physical.
Right.
We think, people are just so absorbed with their looks and body and flesh and all. But it's the ethereal part that's, mind over matter.
There you go. And right now we're not going to mind the matter because we're going to a break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back. Oh, pardon me. Hello. We're at freedomslips.com, and I'm checking out the chat page, which is freedomslips.com/new chat/live.htm. And We've got so many links and stuff going on, hey, is Putin alive? Is Putin dead? Or, hey, what about that bankster the other day? You think he shot himself in the head with that nail gun? All different kinds of things we get going on here at this radio station. And we don't have to accept it all, but it's rather interesting because there's links to get you down whatever rabbit hole you might want to go under or in or through. And we even have some Alice's in Wonderlands. So here we are at Adventures of a Feral Hippie. It's Monday. And we are at a goal of 2450. And our listeners, if they would, click that donate button because we're at 1550. So let us donate today. Everybody here is volunteering, and we're just trying to make a beautiful wave of enlightenment and deprogramming. And every time, it's time. I'm Mohsen.
Yes, indeed.
It is your mic.
It is my mic?
Yeah. There's something scratching somewhere, but that's okay. Otherwise.
I can't hear it from this end. It's very crystal clear.
Well, that's because I'm receiving. That's what life is. It's a giving and a receiving.
Okay, let me see if I can reduce the volume, maybe.
Well, I'd like to hear you.
Hold on.
Oh, it's just when you move. It sounds like crackling paper.
Okay, but I'm not. You see, when you're saying that I'm moving, I'm not moving.
Okay.
Right now, and for the past 2-3 times you mentioned it, a couple of times you mentioned it, I have been still. I'm trying to be good.
Is
it still scratchy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what that might be.
It's okay.
It's not my headsets, unless it's the microphone. Well, I'm using the headsets. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't either. I put my shungite on the computer. I'm wearing my shungite, and I have added around me. So I'm trying. Maybe that's it. It's clearing out all the caca out of your system. Because it's supposed to do this. The shungite is so powerful that it cleared up somebody's phone lines. Their cell phone lines.
Right.
These are Band-Aids that you stick on the cell phone. They're really interesting, and they're... Anyway, that's usually Friday's show is the shungite. We're all trying to heal. That's the whole main goals here, is we're trying to help those who want to make things better. And it's by an example as well as, who we are, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And this, basically, as we said, the alternating currents and electricity... electricity is a form of the energy in the cosmos. But what we have in here through our devices and all that stuff, the television, the computers, and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all, deterrent to your auric health. And one of the most important. That's what I did 2-3 years ago. I threw away my microwave. And I had probably 3-4 of them, okay, as presents and this and that. And one of them, I sold the building, and we didn't have to leave that. I left the microwave, brand new microwave oven. I said, let's go, Anyway, the number one thing is that you want to stop the microwave food, eating microwave food, which is. People don't realize that, but when you microwave that, it changes the molecular polarity of the substance. And when you eat that, and that's going to affect your bowel, it's going to affect your digestive system.
Right.
It creates that bipolarity that creates microcracking of your auras. So I would say, number one, get rid of microwave. Completely microwave food. Unfortunately, the type of life that we have, people, are coming from work, busy. That's another thing of this. The people have to stop.
That's not an excuse. You know what? I'm over people making excuses of falling for the wrong issues here of what our lives are to be.
Right.
I
So
mean,
reality they make themselves. It's you can stop doing that. I mean, my daughter right now wants to go and live in New York City. I mean, she's 25 years old. She's young. My son was telling me yesterday, well, he's 21 in where it is in Florida. There are not that many young people or this and this. I said, buddy, you want to go. But see, the point is that when you live in those kind of conditions, rush, run, all that stress, all this stuff. This is all deterrent to your etheric health, your
right.
energetics.
But it's also their free will of choice.
Oh, of course, certainly.
And just think how free you would be.
Of course. But, you were saying, remember you were talking about looking through the, the tree and the nature and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Then, appreciating, because your frequencies change and all that. And that's what it is. You have to try to, if you don't really formally sit and meditate, which I think everybody should do, at least an hour a day, if you don't do that, you can get yourself in a meditative state, even when you're sitting on a couch, even when you're walking, even when you're in bed in the morning, sleep. You can get yourself into that meditative state, and once you do that,
just not while driving.
Not while you drive. But let me tell you something else, too. Even if you are getting, and I'm not going to recommend this and be a source of controversy here, but a lot of times, I do these very subconsciously things, and it's a lot better than consciously. So you can drive and be in a meditative state, but you have command over the physical consciousness from subconscious. You can do that. So, those people who say these things is just like totally losing their outer active consciousness and then falling asleep and then hitting because you know why? Because they have no connection with their subconsciousness either.
Yeah, exactly.
When they lose that, they're effectively dead.
Well, that's the zombieism. That's what all the phones and those other electronics that have been made to actually capture the consciousness.
Exactly. I mean, it's we are as entities, as divine entities, as entities who are gaining or in the process of gaining crystallinity. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have to learn to be multidimensional.
Exactly, accept it, right?
And to allow it. Mm-hmm. And then multidimensionality means operating in different frequencies, being able to traverse through frequencies like you traverse walking or
time jumping, right?
Yes, and you have to feel comfortable with that. So that doesn't mean that you're in that subconscious dream state, and you are in other frequencies. You don't know what's going on in the lower frequencies. In fact, I'm going to tell you this.
Okay.
As you move higher and higher in dimensions, mm-hmm. It is a one-way mirror. You can look down in the lower dimensions. It is always hard to look up to the behind the veil in higher dimensions. Mm-hmm. When you're in a higher dimensions, you already have control of lower dimensions. So this dream state, if it's done properly with high frequency and multidimensionality, drive and be in that meditative state. Do your driving, okay? Be in there, but be conscious of, also have certain consciousness of what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
I live that way. Yeah, I say I live in a waking meditation.
Let me tell you something, Mona. You might find this interesting. Okay, we live in 3 dimensions, not mm-hmm. 1 dimension.
Right.
We don't live in a 3rd dimension.
Right.
We also encompass 2nd dimension, which is your survivability, which is your motor skills, mm-hmm. which is all that. All the
common sense,
shit, all that. and then there's also
You can take a drink.
It is. And you also live your one-dimensional consciousness, which in essence crystals have, so you don't live in just third dimension. You live in the first, second, and third dimension. Now, what is wrong if you live in the third, fourth, and fifth dimension at the same time? Be multidimensional on that. When you're in the fifth dimension, you're aware of the third dimension. So you're not going to have an accident. But this is something that humanity needs to learn.
Trust.
Well, trust, intuition, and
that's evident too.
Impeccability. Mastery.
Well, that's interesting.
Mastery of your spirituality. And again, going back to the subject of auric expansion. You expand your auric from 8/8/16 to 13/20/33. You're moving in higher. You're this etheric layer that Ovid that we talked about. This aura. It just expands and expands and expands. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Your energies are expanding. Your frequencies are expanding. Your consciousnesses are expanding. And when you're in a higher consciousness, you're aware of the lower consciousness. So you may think see, what happens is that...
I witness it in other people. A lot of that, where they're only of one consciousness.
Oh, forget it. They're limited. They're limited. they're going to have... See, as Lord Metatron says also, not all of you are going to ascend. Ascension happens one heart at a time, and only when you reach that impeccability,
right,
that mastery level of your optimized auric, circuitry, which is 13/20/33, as we said. That's the Fibonacci numbers.
You find a spot on the dial.
And once you reach that, then it's, now it is. I want to tell you something. If you want to understand this concept better, think of yourself as a three-dimensional, not third dimension, three-dimensional entity.
Right.
You have mastery on the first and second dimension as well as third dimension. But usually what happens when you move in a higher dimension, the lower dimension becomes an automated kind of function. In other words, just as way that your minerals in your system, they know what they're doing in your body, okay? Right. You don't tell them what to do. You don't say to them,
Well, actually, we do.
Vitamin C, go and do this, or
isn't that a craving?
Tell your but you don't sit and physically, actively, in your outer consciousness. You don't think of what's happening to my vitamin C. Is going. It's all. They know what they're doing, and they're doing their things.
Right. You're not. Yeah, getting in its way.
Your motor skills.
Mm-hmm.
The best way. See, I've been teaching my son to drive. Okay, I tell him that. I say, honey, don't think.
Right.
Because when you think, you mess it up.
Just be aware. Beware.
Yeah. Be aware, alert. So you don't hit that guy, you don't hit that tree, you don't...
Or somebody's not coming up your rear end,
Exactly. And watch what they're doing. That's the alert, because you are in your reality. You're in a group consciousness, You're interfacing with other people.
Yeah, so right.
You have to see what they're doing, and then you have to either evade or join or whatever. That's our reality. The reality is to a great extent we make our own reality, but we also interface with other people's reality, and then overall we make our planet's reality, which will send it back to the grid, and it becomes your paradigm, what it is.
Right.
That money is good or bad, sex is good or bad, this is good or bad. You know what I'm saying?
Depends on who's all with.
Well, but it becomes, and if
everything has a different,
but but listen to me. But you see this that throughout ages, from 40s, you are
a very experienced person on this planet. You've been around, you've been doing things and all this stuff. Look how it changed from 40s to 50s to 60s to 70s to 80s, all this stuff, you know, because that paradigm of reality, which is the collective consciousness, changes. That this is why we have these people coming from other planets, from our future. They've reincarnated in here to raise the overall frequency of this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the overall frequency of the planet goes up, then we say, all right, I know what God is. I know what chakra is, what aura is. I know what my endocrine system does. I know what my physicality means to me. I know what my... See, your consciousness goes higher, higher, higher.
Well, and it's also reorganizing to learn to discipline, because we are our own creators. What we feed into and pay attention to becomes. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad if you don't consciously get the difference. And that's where you said, you didn't say impeccability. What did you say?
Impeccability. Impeccability.
Oh, did you?
Okay. Yeah, impeccability. These are some of the things you have to, I mean, we have to talk about this some other time when more detail, but basically impeccability, sovereignty, and, you know, these, and the other one is also polarity integration.
So there'd be no questioning it also then, because we're witnessing it as well as creating it, but...
Well, what we were talking about, if you remember, we were saying that how the collective consciousness changes by, you know, if you put more higher frequency within the pot, mm-hmm. within the mixture, that mixture is going to be upgraded as a whole.
Right.
And it is the mixture that defines the paradigm of reality, which is what's in 40s, 50s, 60s, and what's going to be in 2000, you know, in 21st century, 2020,
right,
second century, whatever. That's, you know, from what Lord Metatron says, there's not going to be any more than 24th century. This Earth is going to be gone. You are going to go to Terra Nova, which is a fifth dimensional Earth, and it's a star. And it's totally different, and the others are going to go to other kind of planets that or third dimension, and they continue on because they don't allow, they don't grow, they don't attain this crystallinity, this or auric circuitry, optimal circuitry that we said, this impeccability, it's all this stuff. They're all interrelated. You know what I'm saying? And actually, if you want to go back to quantum mechanics and understanding matter, antimatter, all this stuff, it makes sense because the way the cosmos works is that you've got black holes eat up the matter, and you have white holes spit out antimatter.
Mm-hmm.
And the antimatter is a higher frequency matter. In fact, I have referred to these things as constitution. There's no matter, antimatter. Everything is constitution.
Gotcha.
In lower frequency, we call it mass matter, clumping of particles together. And then, you know, of course, we can have solidity, we can have fluidity, we can have gaseous state, and then plasma state. You know what I'm saying? But basically, Earth is going to have to go
through the cleansing, right?
And well, through the cleansing, and it goes. Then the souls will just leave this, and they'll go to their fifth dimension, Earth, and fifth, actually 5 to 12th dimension. It'll be Atlantis back again. We've already been there. We've already been there. We've already had the, you know, this crystallinity grid is going to lead to the polyhedra, as we talked about this last time, and it's going to go to firmament. And when you have a firmament, by the way, I heard recently in NASA they found a satellite that's been orbiting Earth for 13,000 years.
I think I saw a video on it, and it was moving rather fast.
You know what that satellite was?
It was going to wait till after this break.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right, dear. Howdy. We are back at freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. Adventures of a feral hippie. And it is Monday and the sun is shining, and I've heard so many good, gorgeous chirpings of birds and life going on. It's just been, I want everybody to have a moment of blessing. Give thanks. It's not just meditating to hear the answers and get into the love zone. It's also incorporating that. You know, when you get to that warm, fuzzy feeling, think of somebody. They'll get it. It's all, we're all cause and effect here. And the more we build in a better manner, the more it'll actually come back, because it's all responsive. Right?
Right, exactly. For years I've been telling, my late wife and my children that always live the life like it's your last day. Now I have refined that, that statement. And I would say the following: live the life recognizing that you are an infinite entity. You never die, okay? But live it in such a way that once you live this physical body in your ethereal again fully, okay? First of all, you don't have regrets, okay? Because you tell yourself, I went there, I did it, Frank Sinatra used to say, I did it my way, okay? So you did it, you're happy, and once you are happy, the lessons have been learned, everything has been experienced, maybe you don't really have to go back much more, because it is terrible when you have to go back and back and back, repeat the same lesson.
Right.
It's kind of like flunking the school. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good feeling, is it? And that schoolboy, how badly he feels, that's how your soul entity is going to feel. You know what I'm saying?
But there's no real mistake. There is no sin. Why is there so much self-judgment, let alone judgment we allow from others, is beyond me.
Exactly. No, honey, I'm not talking about the judgment on earth or anything of the sort. I'm talking about your own mission.
Yeah.
Okay? Your higher self, and you sat down and said, hey, you go down in there and you're going to do this. Well, your higher self is yourself, is part of yourself, And you come in here to do certain things. If you don't do that, when you go back, you're going to say, oh, I got to go. It's like if you didn't do the lawn and you want to do the lawn. You missed the part of it. You want to have to go back and redo that. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
So it's just like it's nobody's judgment. Even God is not making any judgment.
Right.
Archangels are not making judgment. Nobody. There's no judgment day. There is no ends day. This is all rubbish. Okay. It is just you simply say, oh, gosh, I got to go back. I forgot this, or I didn't do this right. That's the sort of, it's not a judgment. It's just basically refining yourself and getting the mission done and satisfied. So basically, if you're here, if you do all that stuff, and in the process, the most important thing is also that God didn't just give you just thoughts to create and be perfect and be this and this. Also gave you emotions and an infinite set of
circumstances, occurrences,
and
situations,
and frequencies. So you would experience those emotional frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So, and part of those are pleasure, and it's just having satisfaction about what you did and being happy. So now we're in a condition right now, I think, on Earth. We're very, very privileged. I feel wonderful and ecstatic, because if I ever had any depressions, if I had any angers, if I had any, the only thing that sometimes bothers me is people, but I just say, be tolerant, allow it. But otherwise, thinking fate and thinking, oh, I'm depressed or I'm deprived or I'm this, forget it.
Hey, my energies change every 3 seconds.
Well,
and
for the better and better. as long as Mona, as long as your energies get more refined, you appreciate yourself more and more and more, and the beauty that the life, represents or presents, and the gift that God has ordained upon you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Once
and it's just the unconditional love of knowing this is a playground, not a war ground, and I get to choose the side.
Exactly. And you recall we talked about this. Unconditional love actually is the ultimate lesson.
Right.
Impeccability, sovereignty, you know what I'm saying, polarity, integration of femininity and masculinity and right and left side brain, all the integration, all kinds of integration, power and love and all this. These are all integration. You got to integrate.
Right.
You got to come in the middle, understand both of them and be perfect in the middle. Now, you do all this stuff, the very last thing that's going to come in, it's going to be the science of unconditional love. Before that is, of course, compassion. And God has given you a gene of compassion. Did you know that we are the only creature, by the way, probably in the galaxy that I know, that we have a full set of emotional and frequency spectrum. The spectrum is full. We can go anywhere we want, and then so we can experience all these extreme emotions, this and that. That's one thing. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing is that we are blessed with the gene of compassion. Again, remember, not sympathy, compassion.
Right.
Sympathy is muddying your water with other people's energy.
Well, because you're giving your energy away because somebody doesn't know how to pick themselves up.
Exactly. And you don't want...
Those are the vampires, man. The energy vampires.
Exactly. They're vampiric. Exactly, they are. They're just like bloodsuckers. And inadvertently they may do that, but they do that, And unfortunately, a lot of relationships on this planet, they are based upon this. Maybe to some extent.
It's called codependency, if you want to get into these lingos of times and terms.
Exactly. And what I was going to say is that they may say, you may even consider it, quote unquote, call it innocent codependency or innocent, vampiric effect. But they're a vampiric effect. So that is why actually one of the topics that I was talking to you that's very important. And someday we're going to talk about that. I think I've written some articles before. I'm going to go back and extend that because this morning when I got up, I had floods of information that came in regarding our genetics and our endocrinology. And I'm going to write that pretty soon. And I'm going to talk about it when I'm a guest on that show with that doctor. That's why he wants to actually.
Well, that's cool.
I think that's why actually the download came because I was interested in it. But anyway, going back to this, it's this sovereignty is something that you have to learn. You have to teach your family that, listen, it doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't care for you. But I can't be dependent on you, and I can't have you being dependent on me. Teach them sovereignty, because sovereignty is one of the late. These are all lessons of mastery. Okay, and as I said, there's also this integration, which there are variety forms of it, because we live in polarity. You know what I'm saying, in duality.
Exactly.
So we've got, we've got power, we got love. We got to integrate them. Okay? We got the logic, we've got the intuition. We got to integrate them. We've got the femininity, we've got the masculinity. We got to integrate them. So there's a variety of integration process but these are all lessons of mastery. You know what I'm saying? And once you do this, then you are worthy of that crystallinity that you have, and then you in the future you will live that mono system, not duality, not grid system. Everything is one thing is good,
right?
And you know what? I tell you what, I don't care if I'm in duality or I'm in the fifth dimension in the future or even go beyond 12 someday. You know, maybe I think I'm already there. It's just my fraction is here. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right. Yes, I do. I
No,
get.
I am there. I know there. I mean, ultimately, I'm Metatron. I know
Well,
that.
have you ever automatic wrote, or that's what you're saying you do when you get up and the instance comes to you? That's your automatic download.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
we
you know,
all have access to that.
it's like I'm a child. You know what I'm saying? I get in a thought process. Let me tell you exactly how it happens to me.
Okay.
Because I don't know about this channeling people talk about and all this business they've made out there. And, you know, I don't, you know, I say nothing about it.
Right.
Okay. But I tell you something. I think the way that it happens. It happened to Tesla, Nikola Tesla. It happened to
Einstein.
Einstein. I think it's happening to me. It's
Edgar
happening.
Casey, Notre Dame.
Well, Edgar Casey is different. No. Edgar Casey was different. Edgar Casey.
Oh, that's true.
Edgar Casey was not conscious. He stepped
He didn't
aside.
move aside for somebody other energy to come in and speak through him.
Right. And the other energy was him.
Right. That's
But
where I want to keep mine.
Yeah. But it was pulled here. That energy had pulled out of this dimension. Mm-hmm. So he was in sleep. He was in not just dream state, the state. You see, I understand Cryon does the same thing with this guy, you know?
It was hypnosis, wasn't it? Kind of like.
It just, you know, the entity, the lower self,
Got out of
you
the
know,
way.
stands aside. What I don't understand is these people. I mean, Casey, I understand because it was his higher self that became conscious.
Exactly.
But somebody like this guy that like Cryon moves through, I don't understand that. I mean, what are these guys? Dummies?
I can't listen to it. No, they come in the name of Christ, but Christ is consciousness. So you allow any conscious? I said no decades ago. I ain't moving over for nobody.
You don't move over. The best way is that you get your higher self integrating in you.
Right.
That's what I do. The second thing, and you know what? Once you do this, you reach higher up. Because I've been told this several times that I am. Actually, Metatron told me I am Metatron. And my knees were knocking.
Well, I think we're each from different energy patterns because we're just a small piece of the source, and there's many sources.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like a under ocean sea fan. You got the main branches, and then you got the frilly ones, and you got the. I mean, everything is just that way.
And you know what happens, Mona? It's happened to me the past 3-4 years. Once you move in, once you become more conscious and alive, your higher self moves within you, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And you plug in and you're conscious of your relationship. You become more and more and more conscious. Let me tell you how it happened this morning. It was very interesting to me because I'm trying to understand myself better and better and better, okay? I dared saying that I'm Metatron because I have so much respect for the entity that I can't say I'm him. You know what I'm saying? Other people do that and go make money. I don't want to do that. But I tell you something, a lot of people said you are Thoth, you're Metal Sechme, and you are Metatron. And, you know, because those were the same, Enoch, you know. And so, but anyway, what it is basically the more conscious you get, you move with your higher self, and then your higher self moves up with the highest self, and the highest, and you can't say highest, but higher, even higher, even higher.
Right.
So you move to the Thoth, and Mother Sechman, the Thoth, and the Archangel Metatron, and once you reach to Lord Metatron, you're right there beside God. You know what I'm saying? Because he is being exalted. He's, you know, he knows stuff. I mean, I know he knows stuff, okay? And I'm just telling you in a most cosmological...
So you feel he's using you as a voice to get this information out there because it's time to help fortify the perspective changes.
Yes. I actually, 3 years ago, he was trying to get inside my head, and being a retired professor and being so cerebral and thinking and thought.
Right.
So he was very upset. So he got a medium to come and talk to me, and said it was angry at me. He said, "You dial in, and there's no response. What is wrong with you?" Okay, so this, and then I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Who are you? What are you saying these things to me?" And she said she was a medium, a very, very accomplished medium. And you know what she did? She went there and she became Metatron. And Metatron started talking through her. And with an archaic language, very, very, very harsh masculine voice, and he was yelling at me. And he said, "You go back in there. You go in front of that public. You tell people I am Metatron." I said, "I can't do that. I am Metatron. I am you." And he said, "You don't understand these things, you know." And then, so I've never done that because I have so much respect. I don't want to be a sacrilege. But now I'm beginning to understand how that works. What this works.
Well, no, wait a minute a second. If the word, could it be a set vibration instead of a single entity?
It is a vibration. Entity is a vibration. Entity is consciousness. It's a
coordinated group consciousness in some form. Like I have
no, not. I wouldn't call it. It is group in a way that he encompasses a lot of other consciousnesses, such as myself. Okay, but it's not. It's group consciousness as high as it can get close to God, the most extreme. Okay, but it is an exalted. It's actually a soul. It's a spirit. It's definitely a spirit that it has come from God, and it's extremely conscious entity, and has a lot of responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lord Metatron gives you your consciousness. If Lord Metatron is responsible for you breathing. And Lord Metatron, you have 3 feet above you. There is that stellar gateway chakra. Of course, it gets really activated when you become more crystalline, because Metatron is so high that it can't, just get inside everybody. You know what I'm saying? But it's through that and monitor. He says that. He says we know each and every one of you. Every one of these souls, every one of these unit consciousness that came from God and became a soul, now entity, a human being. See, all these people, you see your neighbor and all this stuff, you look at them, you think, oh, it's just a guy. It's just a person. He's a guy because he thinks he's a guy. And because you think he's a guy. Mm-hmm. He is that unit consciousness.
Right.
He was given that unit consciousness. That what he has done with that, through his power of free will, that's a different issue. He might have even lost, transmuted his greatness through accumulation of karma and all that stuff that we talked about before.
It makes me think of the song that if God was one of us, he'd be among us. It's a cute song. If God was one of us.
Actually,
on a bus.
God, you know what God is? God is all of us.
Right. Well, I see it as an energy vibration of life.
It is. It is. I mean, call it God, Almighty, Prime Creator, I don't care.
I don't have to call it anything, because if it knows me, I just have to give thanks.
It is the ultimate. My definition of God is the following. God is an ultimate form of consciousness with a continuous consciousness. You have discrete consciousness, and you will end up getting discrete consciousness from here to infinity, but he is the infinite consciousness. His frequency is infinite. Is your frequency maybe 13 hertz going to 25, and then you move up to hundreds and thousands and go high, and move into higher and higher or inner dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? At the core of it, when you reach that point that has no speciality, spatiality, and that's God. That's pure consciousness. It is continuous consciousness. It's infinite frequency, and it is omnipotence, omnipresence at any time, any place, inner or outer space, and any frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
That's God.
And it's still all love.
And it is love.
Yep.
It is love. And you know what? The last lesson you're going to learn, that's the last lesson. I'm trying very hard to learn this right now. The last lesson that I learned is the ultimate unconditional love. Ultimate. You know, I've always had horrendous amount of love for my family, for my children, for my students, and I've done this. I've got angry. I've let ego come in. I have been depressed. I have been isolated, and I've been hurt and all this stuff. Granted, but I've always had the love. But to just go beyond all these things and be pure, unconditional love, 100%. If you have that, then you have the omnipresence, because unconditional love is the ultimate challenge of your ethereal existence.
Well, you're actually becoming one with nature, because it continually unconditional loves for us.
Well, nature becomes you. You become nature, just like God. You know what I'm saying? The nature is God. God is nature. You know what I'm saying? God is everywhere, everything.
Well, mm-hmm.
Are you following me? What I'm trying to say? That's my opinion.
Especially the 3 times you said it. Yeah, I got it each time.
All right, honey. I'm sorry.
You're not allowed to.
God is a very passionate.
Sorry brings
subject
sorrow. Okay, so if I wanted to throw a little boost of energy within myself by my unconditional love, and that few minutes of giving myself permission to sit, do nothing but be. And do you some people use drums, some people use flutes. I use nothing. I just can go out any moment if I had to.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, there are different personalities, there are different tastes. This is how we are unique, each one of us. So you have to, the most important thing is that search yourself, open your heart, your thymus, trust, believe, love, okay? And have the compassion and the passion, and continue on and see what turns you on. Music. I could have been a very good. I think I could have been a composer. Okay. In fact, I have come up with a horrendous number of melodies. Are you there?
Yeah, melodies. Horrendous number. I was thinking of my girlfriend up the road who has a in-house studio to make CDs and stuff. Yeah.
So music is something. I think if I ever come back to Earth or something, I may become a composer next time. That's something that I didn't do on this planet. I may still do.
There's still, never say never.
It's all there. The melodies are there. I used to walk in nature or even anywhere, and the melodies would pour out in me. That was incredible. And I never learned my son is an accomplished piano player and violinist, and I have to push him to get back to that. But I never went for formal that, because you have to be able to know the language to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's missing. And at one time I was sitting down with him, and I would hum the melody for him, and I would make him write it, on the piano, reproduce it, and he did some of it, and then he got so frustrated and he said, "Dad, you got to do this yourself, because to relay it to me, and then I can't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel those frequencies,
Right.
And that's what it was. But anyway, you might be able to do it through music. You maybe do it through your painting. You are a painter, right?
Me?
Right. Are you not a painter?
Right now, I'm a radio host.
No, I thought you had some artist background.
Yeah, so.
What was that? Wasn't
I
was
have
it?
a commercial art degree and a BA in art.
Oh, okay. That's
And
what
I have also an architecture degree.
Oh, okay. Not painting though.
Well, I painted. I've done so many mediums. I'm just not the artist as per se, but it's given me creative outlets. Right now, I twist a lot of copper and sew a lot of tote bags, which really are for sale. Go to Mona Radler on Facebook. You'll find me. I mean, I put out a lot of energy all the time.
Yeah.
And
Well, what I have to do, Mona, one of these days, within the next few months or whatever, I'm going to be putting at least a 3-day spiritual retreat conference together.
you,
Like I've already talked to a couple of people who are going to be helping me, and hopefully we're going to have you come in and present your artwork and meet with people and have a good time and you
well,
know.
I'll never go back to Florida. I won't step foot across the Georgia line.
Is that right?
That's
Why is
right.
that? Why?
Because my spirit said leave, and when that was the last time to leave, I knew it was to never go back.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I have to follow my patterns as well as what I know, But I'll never go back to Florida. Heck no.
yeah, but actually, I did not say it was going to be in
Well,
Florida.
but I still stated the decision.
No, I'm just saying that ultimately, what I like to do is have a series of these all over the country, in power nodes and vortices and.
Well, so far we're getting out your the human psychology notes, because I pass them around when I see them. And they've gone into the chat room. So it's like, we're doing the best, and you let the system play itself out like we're going to do right now with this promo. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, we're here somewhere. Oh, that's right. We're at freedomslips.com. Yahoo! Revolution Radio. Oh, the human psychology. What a trip it is to even consider that we can fathom that we can make differences, we can make choices, we can see realities in so many different ways. Like going to the home page, yes indeedy, and do the home click donate page, because we are listener supported. And volunteer run, yes we are. And times are just, the more we make merry, the merrier it'll get, right, Mohsen?
That's correct. That's correct. Correct. Spread it around. The cheer, the love, the happiness, brighten up the room, brighten up the group. And the good thing about us as creatures, we're kind of we are social, And
You mean we're made to cohabitate?
well, it's just, and also it's also it's what's the word? It's catchy. You know what I'm saying? If you're happy and if you're
happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're all right.
Exactly, and you can make other people happy. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what you were trying to say, right?
I'm not the feral hippie for nothing.
That's right.
And if I can't make you happy, then oh well. I'm going down the road. I'm throwing my seed packs out into the field. And because that's what we're doing. We're all just producing something to see what's going to grow. And I don't want to dismay the dark ones, but they had their choice. And if they don't, then if we at least get ourselves well enough organized, it harmonically goes out there like ripples in a pond. And so I say, yeah, make the best out of everything, man.
And that's all there is to it. You are a being of light, and you want to be a beacon of light. Just you just light up the path, and you hope that they will take the right decision, because ultimately they have free will and nothing can interfere with that. Nothing.
not even a prophet of God. Nothing. God himself does or herself doesn't interfere with that. That's a gift given to you eternally.
Right. So we
so
are in control, though, because our body will react to the way we think and what we're disciplined by and how we carry our impeccability and other things like that, you know? And
exactly.
that was an interesting word that you told me, because I see it as an expectation word, or let's say I used to, till kind of like you said it. And then I'm going, you're right, because I'm being the best self that I can be. And isn't that impeccability?
And that's exactly what it is. Impeccability is being spiritual, and doing the quote unquote right thing, and being a beacon of light, and all that, and that will move you up in your frequencies and make things easier and easier and easier for you to do. And once you get into that spirituality, that impeccability, then you're going to find that there is no auric bleeding. Okay, you stop the auric bleeding, because what you would do, you see what you do, Mona, is that you don't bleed to death. Okay, you expand. Your skin expands and expands and expands. Now, in the process, just like a snake, you might have to discard the old skin, but the new one comes and encompasses that. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm hoping so.
Well, that's.
Because I love snakes. I owned a snake. His name was Seymour.
I hate snakes.
Oh.
I
hate is pretty harsh. Yeah,
exactly.
right.
It's just a three-dimensional word.
But everything. No, it's not, because it creates a feeling that people respond to, and some of them keep gathering it because they think they have to hoard it. Then one day they'll explode. We have to get rid of the word hate. I really believe that. I don't if I dislike something, but I'm not putting it out there.
We had this conversation before that sometimes, it's the vernacular that I still haven't perfected it. So.
Well, that's okay. None of us have.
Because I'm a creature of this, I've been on this planet and reincarnated here, so I still use the same vernacular. No, two things I want to tell you this. First of all, I personally am totally 100% incapable of hate, because I have come across situations that anybody else would quote unquote hate, and I've let it go, and I've forgiven, and I've moved on. Secondly, so that's within me. I know the soul so well. It's me. I've lived with it. The second thing I wanted to tell you is that if I objected to snake, it's not the snake that's garden snake or something that's around there. I love all animals. Adore nature and animals and water and everything. You know what I'm saying? Especially animals. I could spend hours and hours. You ask my children. If we want to go on a vacation, where would I go? Go and see animals. When we went down to Miami, they had actually lined up all this stuff, going to the zoo, going to this thing, animals, going to that. And, it was all nature and animals. But the word reptilian gives me a chill. Okay?
Okay.
And it's not.
I could really.
It's an ethereal.
I guess that's a little fear-based, if you really want to think about it. No.
Again,
Are you sure?
You know what you do to me, Mona? Sometimes I think you turn things around. I say something.
That's my job, babe.
I know. You're trying to get a reaction or whatever. But listen.
Exactly.
No fear. Absolutely no fear. I'm just telling you this.
I get it.
As the reptilians, the draconians and the arconians.
But they're also part of source. So the thing is we live in a magnetic universe, and like attracts like. So why would you call one towards you? So you don't have to hate him or like
I
him,
don't.
you know,
I
you
don't. I
just
keep away from them. As you saw, I said, we don't want to concentrate on those, but on those issues, we want to think of the good and positivity and
yeah.
spirit. This is what my way is. Okay, but and though that's a reality of this planet, all this stuff, abductions, this, that, and it's unpleasant. But you know what? It's part of our training. It's part of our duality. It was meant to be. And I think before we came to this duality, before we stepped into it, time of Atlantis, 13 millennia prior to that, just prior to that, we knew what we were getting ourselves into. We came to learn and experiment and experience.
Mm-hmm.
And although some of these things are harsh, seem to be harsh, first of all, a little later, it's of no consequence.
Well, it's also no consequence if you don't take it personally, because sometimes you're in the crosshairs and you just got to get through it.
Yes, exactly. So even those when those moments are, think of this: what's happened on this planet, on this country, which is spears heads actually the planet in many ways. All this foreclosures, bankruptcies, collapse of the market, this, what it did to people. Of course, it came to me too. I lost millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? It didn't bother me. I tried to survive. That's all I tried to do. Okay, but I'm going to tell you something. Now, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's of no consequence. Other things has happened, beautiful. So you don't have to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Things. It's just you survive. You will. Survivability is just that. As a fear that people have in their mind, and it's
right.
It's you survive. God has given you that innate capability to survive, and ordain and endowed you with all the energy to take care of you. You're going to be fine, even if you starve in Biafra or some places like that. That you think, oh, the person died and stuff. So what? So, we went back and pulled out of that physicality and got the experience. And is he dead or she dead or the entity is? No. It was just there and got the experience. So, the worst thing that we think on this planet can happen to us is death, which may be a blessing in many ways. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll continue on with something else. Those people who are very depressed on this planet, those people who don't function, who have lost their functionality. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If they die, it may be better for them because they start fresh. They reboot. You know what I'm saying? And either they reincarnate somewhere else or they move on to other planets. And excuse me.
Yeah, that's about the most interesting thing. I always think of Dune. When I think of another planet, I probably would end up on.
And that might be an experience too. If you think of Dune, you've already planned on it. You already have planned on it. When you check out of here, you check in something different.
Right.
It's all an experience. It all can be, listen to me. It is what you perceive. One person goes in the sun, says, ooh, so hot. Next person, what I do, I don't even wear glasses. I've got some of the most expensive glasses. I actually had an optical. I had, thousands of dollars glasses that I was selling. And I had tons of them myself. And I'm probably going to give them away. I want to see the sun. I enjoy the sun, love the sun. And if it's hot, that's all right.
Yeah, there's sunshine here today.
And it's beautiful here right now. It's sunshine. And I'm going to, right after we finish our show, I'm going to go with my son. And we're going to go into a little bit nature probably and then get on with our lives. But what I'm saying is that the other person, Dune, you go to desert, there isn't that oasis. That desert itself has its own beauty. It has its own. So it's how you take it. If you sit down there and say, "Oh, I'm thirsty," and that's all you're gonna feel. And if you just say, "Okay, thirst, interesting," being in the scorching heat, interesting, another experience,
Yeah, like
and you're
why
gonna
didn't I take a water bottle with me? You know, we all have to learn by our
yeah.
measures.
But what I'm saying is that the chances are you're gonna survive. And you know what I'm saying? And once you survive, you look back at it and say, I went there. I did it. I was there. You know what I'm saying? It's just that
Exactly.
the
It comes in
moment,
so many different levels and degrees.
yeah, the moment that bankruptcy's hitting you, that bills are hitting you and stuff, and you're stressed out, that you're a different frame of mind. Okay? But later, when you go back in there and say, well, I'm glad even I lost that property. It was such a pain. Because some things you may think they're monetary or they're good or stuff. They're actually pain. It's better you lose them. You better get rid of them.
Exactly. The material things.
The material things, yes. And some relationships are like that, you know.
You're right.
Sometimes it's better to just walk away and I'm not advocating divorce or this or that or that. You know, Lord Metatron says in the future, within the next 20 years or whatever, marriage contracts are going to be dated. You don't marry somebody for life, you marry them for 5 years.
I
And
don't
then,
think a marriage is anything but a contractual agreement, and there shouldn't be that either.
and you know what? You're kidding yourself.
What?
You know, people kidding themselves, they go in there till death do us part.
I know, it's
It
ridiculous.
it doesn't mean anything anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because the consciousnesses have changed. That, you know, and I'm not saying it's for the better. I think people, if they can't get along, if they feel like they are really impeding each other's consciousness expansion, I think they should just walk away, but nicely and feeling and good for each other. You know what
Well,
I'm
I
saying?
always call it don't pick up the other end of the rope.
Yeah. So, you know, all of it is experience. It's moving along, and you know, the more you appreciate it, the better it feels, and the more successful is the experience. And there are going to be no regrets. And when you're parting the body and you're above your body, you know, before it gets either cremated or put in the ground, and you say to yourself, I did it. I did it my way, you know. I should start singing like Frank Sinatra
Oh,
now.
I don't do anything but by my way. I might look at yours and see how it's going, but
Yeah.
yeah, it might sound like I'm an idiot, but I am not an idiot. I am
Well,
idiot about some things, but you know what I mean. It's like, gosh,
I don't think you're an idiot. I don't think anybody's an idiot.
right.
Far from a case for you. But you know, it's just, you know, life, again, going back to what you started this conversation. Life is an experience,
Mhm.
so experience it. And
And
instead
help
of,
create it by the love of your experiences and giving thanks.
exactly, instead of doubts and fear and anxiety and trepidation, that's a waste of energy. That's a dissipative pool, you know?
That's a definite cyst in the auric field.
Yeah, it gets there too, you know, because what happens,
I know
your
it gets there.
your aura starts
It
collapsing,
comes from
collapsing,
there, doesn't it,
collapsing,
too?
and then what's going to happen is, you know, you're left with almost nothing but your physicality, which is really a very small part of you.
Hmm.
But before we go, honey, I wanted to point out that, you know, the papers, I spent a lot of time writing papers, making them coherent, easy to follow, and I put them actually in bullet forms. So we didn't talk about some of this stuff, but we talked about a lot more interesting and important things. People are encouraged to read the papers and the details of how you can safeguard against auric bleeding.
And I posted them in chat. So if anybody's interested to find those links, if they're not friends on my Facebook account or whichever, go to Freedom Slips and go to the links. There's a chat links from the chat room. And go between 12 and 2, and you'll find those links posted.
Now, do we have, by any chance, any questions or anything? Does anybody come to chat?
No, everybody's been in there making laughter at some guy who decided he wanted to blow up a raft in his living room.
Oh, boy. Anything for a laugh.
He's a sweetheart. He really is. But that's what we're a family here, and that's what we're trying to do, is just help everybody mellow through this. We don't want a dirty party. We want a happy party. Sometimes we have to bring out the crap, though, so, people become more aware, but that's not always me.
Right.
I'd rather us get into where we take our power back, and we produce the unprogramming.
And we're getting there, step by step, little by little. And as we said, it's just we have to allow and enjoy the experience and move on. There's always going to be later. There's always, even if not on this planet, on another planet or on another even reincarnation, if that's might be the case, or whatever.
But it's also not making big issues about wanting or having to have that information, because everything comes to us naturally if we harmonically balance our bodies. And then there's usually no fear involved, and then we can get through it easier. So I just always say, have no intent, have no expectations, and take nothing in life personal.
But don't give up.
Oh, and that too, but
and always don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your passion.
Well, that's the whole clue of existence, is the creativity of passion. And I think a man named Jesus, by a book of the Bible, now I'm not verifying it, I wasn't there, that, we are to be as children.
Right.
Because the earth needs us to be more harmonic too, because she's a part of us as we are a part of her. So I don't see a separation from the earth.
Oh, no. We're all connected. Earth is Mother Earth. Earth is the body of Gaia, and Gaia is the spirit who's the oversoul of us. We're under her auspices, This is how the system works. As you said before, one time I recall you said something about there has to be something up there. How did you put it exactly? That, how did you put it? My God. You did it. You put it nicely. That there is something that has to take care of this. In other words, just to put it my way, it's just you got to have souls and oversouls and avatars and all that stuff and going up, and archangels and this and this. Everything is connected.
Many mansions in the Father's house.
Right.
All righty then. Welcome Monday, and we'll talk soon. And thank you, Mohsen, and we'll keep going on from here.
My pleasure, dear. Have a nice day.
You too, sweetie. Later.
Okay. Bye-bye.